us, right, Kurt?
Yes, sir.
And then ultimately, it's God's job to clean them up.
Amen.
Through old foolish preachers like me. Through the hearing of the word. Right? I love you, that's why I always tell you the truth. Now, let me tell you something about, Jesus spoke more about hell than he did heaven.
That's right.
Because he knows our fleshly tendencies is to always gravitate to the beautiful and ignore the realities.
Yep.
But I got news for you, heaven is a glorious place. What God has in store for them that love him. Paul got a glimpse of it, and he couldn't even come back and tell about it. Oh, wouldn't it be right for me to describe it to you? I know one thing, just to have peace, I mean, ultimate peace. Oh, that's so attractive to me. Huh? To wake up feeling good every day? Be a body of perfection?
That's a body of perfection. You just gotta get rid of the being.
That's right. Is this what that's going to look like in heaven?
I'm not.
Sometimes people look on me, my situation, or your situation, and you see the eyes of faith. Right? I'm going to bring you another reality before I close it up. I'm not saying I'm terminal, but we are all in the same category. The day you were born, you were terminal. You understand that? The day that you came into this body was the day that you became terminal. What does terminal mean? Terminal means not too far from death in this physical body. I don't care if you're 20 years old today, right now you're scoffing. Terminal! Terminal! The body dies a little bit every day. Every day. You don't believe me? Go try and do something that you did when you were 18 years old, and you come tell me about it. Tell me how you feel. Matter of fact, man, I think back on the things that I used to do when I was a lad. I went, 2 o'clock in the morning, jumping off 80-foot cliffs into the quarry, not knowing if my buddy's out of the way. That's insanity! I mean, youth can give you a distorted view of what things are really like.
Yes, sir.
The big picture, the consequences. If you're going to risk anything, live risky for Christ.
Amen.
Right? Think about all the foolish risk you took in your youth for, now we get ultra-conservative when we come to Jesus. We just want to live nice little quiet life. We don't want to rock the boat. Consider Jesus. What a contradiction that was. Lest you be wearied and faint in your mind. Don't faint. Don't faint. What does the Bible say? If you faint, you won't what? Reap. If you give up, you won't reap. I really got to say, when I see faithfulness and I see somebody that will faithfully do what God has laid upon their hearts to do, regardless of what it looks like, I always like to draw attention to that. How long ago did Tony start that ministry? How many years has that been now? Yes. 3, 4 years? 3 years ago, God laid upon Tony Lapatina's heart to start a ministry with young kids. I said, do it, Tony. And he did it, and oftentimes he'd come here, and it was his 2 boys. The only people he had was his 2 boys. But he did it. He continued to do it faithfully. And I'm sure there were times that he was discouraged. You know, where he started questioning, God, am I really supposed to be doing this? But he did it. Because he spoke it. And then if you don't faint, you will reap in due season. And today God has sent along Darrell, Tony, kids are starting to gravitate towards it. They're starting to have, you know, not that they didn't have a good time before, but God is starting to grow it.
Yeah.
But you have to patiently possess your souls and wait on the promises of God. Just because you start something, just because God speaks something to you, it doesn't mean that it's going to be full-blown fruition overnight. You might have to sow. You might be times where you get discouraged.
This time has been a lot of time.
There's times where you just don't, you know, I heard about this testimony, I'm going to quit about this preacher. And God called him to preach. So my understanding is that he would go to the barn, but he didn't have anybody to preach to, so he preached to the livestock, the pigs. And he was out in the barn preaching his heart out to the pigs, not knowing that there was somebody that had stashed away down below just to bed down for the night. That man got saved. This guy didn't know if he was there. He just simply did what God called him to do, even if it meant preaching to the pigs. Oh, don't we quit too easy. When you want to quit, think about Jesus. When you want to quit, think about the generation ahead and the generation behind. This life is but a vapor, man. Here and gone. You often think, let it be said of me when I'm long gone. You know what I once said of me? Not that I was a wonderful orator. Not that I was a great man of faith. Let it be said of me that I trusted Jesus.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't quit. Run the race with patience, endurance. I'm tired of being last, Pastor. I'm tired of things not turning out right for me, Pastor. I got encouragement for you.
Everything's a coming.
No. No guarantee of that. Those that are last on here will be first in the road.
Yeah.
And those that were first will be last. So don't you worry about feeling like you're coming in last all the time. In God's economy and the way God does things, He knows. Were you that kid that stood against the fence when all the teams were always being picked? And you say, oh, no, let me be the last one. You pray, oh, don't let me be picked last. How many of you know what that feeling is?
Yes, sir.
Standing up against the fence and you, oh my God, they choose a girl over me. Can I tell you how it's going to work? And God's going to see that humble soul that's sitting back there like this here, that's so used to coming in last. And God's going to go, step aside. You, come here. You're first. And I believe much honor will bestow upon a person like that. You're first in my kingdom.
Thank you, Lord.
And usually those are the people that just simply patiently endure the pain, the hurt. But you will be first on that day. So we're never cheating. I conclude. Don't quit. Leave a testimony, a legacy. This way and that way.
Amen.
Father, we thank you today for our time together.
Yes, Lord.